if you've made the mistake, and I know sometimes you do, and I'm sorry about that, you might click the wrong button on the radio or online, you've actually seen some of the mainstream media today. You all know that the leading story today is all about 30,000 people, largely very well-to-do Californians, probably some very well-known celebs, having to leave their homes because of California wildfires. That is apparently what should be leading the news today, if you're mainstream media. I'm not entirely sure it is, but I wanted to talk about it because I'm pretty sure that you're going to be hearing the same thing I have, which is, well, of course, it's all down to climate change, even though, of course, it's winter in California, though still warm, certainly not the sort of high temperatures we expect and associate with wildfires. Well, let's talk about this with Ben Pyle. He's writer and co-founder at Climate Debate UK. Very good afternoon to you, Ben.
Good afternoon, Julia.
Thanks for joining us. As always, whenever there's any sort of natural disaster of any sort, wildfires, floods, drought, wind, rain, snow, whatever it is, it's always due to climate change. Are these dreadful fires due to climate change?
Oh, well, probably not. And you would have to be inhuman to not sympathise with the obvious terror and suffering that those fires cause. And that's obviously why they're attractive to a lot of people in, let's say, more disreputable media than this platform. But no, as much as people have tried to say that wildfires in California or in the world are the result of climate change and global warming, there's simply very little evidence to support that. California is a particular, it's quite arid, it often is very dry, even in the winter, and it is subject to high winds. So, yeah, and there's quite a lot of wood around. So when a fire does break out, which is a very natural part of a forest's life cycle.
Yeah.
When the first settlers landed in California, they took the measures of burning parts of the forest. It's called prescribed burning. This became, in most parts of the world, this is completely normal.
Yeah.
Because as the leaves and detritus fall off trees, they build up on the forest floor, and then as soon as a lightning spark hits them, or if there's an accident from electricity infrastructure, or someone.
As a barbecue, and then everything gets like. And we've seen this across the country, haven't we? And again, most of these fires now are man-made; they're human caused, accidentally or not. But the interesting thing is, countries like in America, particularly woke states like California, they've stopped doing these regular burns for eco reasons, to be all environmental. And then what a surprise! They get these natural fires because there's going to be a fire at some point.
That's right. That's certainly true in the forest management is one issue. The other part is the scrubland, and it turns out 100% by some scientist estimates of fires that break out in scrubland or shrubland are man-made in one way or another. That's either electricity infrastructure failures or arsonists. And it's the same, in fact, in the UK. Half of fires in Britain are estimated to be started deliberately. But when there are fires that break out in hot weather, or the routine for the media is to look at climate change is the obvious
and we've had that in Australia, and again there was something, it's been terrible in Australia, and fires that got close to Sydney a few years ago. But again, actually the number of fires and the amount of damage done by fires, the actual coverage of them was less than a normal average year. We saw it with Hawaii, and it turned out again they hadn't been managing the land. This story comes up again and again and again, and yet they always just, at the end of every report, well, we're going to see more of this due to climate change. Do you think it's ever going to stop? Do you think they'll ever let the facts get in the way?
Well, I think they've had to do a lot of science abuse and statistics abuse to cover this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very clear. If you look at the satellite data from NASA, and they admit it themselves, there's been a substantial reduction globally in the area burned by wildfire. Yeah. So what the Greens sort of answer to this is to say that the risk of fire weather, which is dry and windy weather, has increased. That's say that there's more of this kind of weather.
They'll always twist it. They'll always twist it. I mean, again, you don't see that on the BBC, do you? I'm going to have to leave it there. Time is against us. Ben Pyle, I hope you come back and join us again soon. Writer and co-founder at Climate Debate UK.